Welcome to Varnak Interstellar Academy. The corridors of Varnak Interstellar Academy thrummed with nervous energy. News of a new student, a Deathworlder, had spread like a volatile plasma spill. Whispers traveled through the halls in dozens of languages, each species speculating in their own way, but the fear was universal. Crixer adjusted the straps of his nutrient pack and glanced nervously around the communal study hub. He wasn't alone. Fellow students, a swirling mix of scales, fur, feathers, and bioluminescent skin, huddled together, talking in hushed tones. "A human," said Drelza, her gill flaps fluttering with agitation. The aquatic Sephiri clung to the edge of her hydration pod like it might protect her. "They said a human was accepted." "From Earth?" asked Miv, a gaseous being suspended in a mobile filtration orb. "That's a Class 5 death world. The flora alone could decimate our entire ecosystem." "They run as a hobby," added Tharn, the arboreal climber from Valtros 4. His forearms were crossed, his eyes dotting to every sound. Crixer gulped. "Maybe the rumors are exaggerated. No one actually eats molten rock, right?" There was a long pause. No one answered. Varnak Academy was the pride of the Galactic Education Accord, a place for intellectual and diplomatic unity. Its students were selected based on mental aptitude, social cohesion, and cultural diversity. Physical prowess was rarely relevant, except during mandatory physical conditioning modules, better known to the students as gym class. The thought sent a ripple of panic through the group. "What if it goes berserk?" Drelza whispered. "Humans are unpredictable. What if it sees one of us as a threat?" "I read they have something called adrenaline," Miv said. "It makes them faster and stronger when they're stressed. Like a berserker gland." Crixer's own frills stiffened. "Should we request a reassignment? Maybe drop gym altogether?" But before anyone could answer, a melodic chime sounded through the hall, followed by a voice from the overhead intercom. "Attention, students. Please welcome our newest cadet, Sara Jensen of Terra, Sol System." All heads turned. The main doors hissed open. And in walked her. Sara Jensen looked almost insultingly unremarkable. She stood barely 1.7 meters tall, clad in the Academy's standard blue uniform. No claws, no fangs, no exoskeleton. Just soft flesh, brown hair tied back, and an easy smile on her face. "Hi," she said cheerfully, waving with one hand. "Nice to meet you all." For a moment, silence hung over the room like a dropped antimatter core. "That's the Deathworlder," Tharn whispered. "She looks small," Miv said, voice tinged with confusion. Sara blinked. "Oh, am I in the wrong place? I was told orientation was here." Crixer stepped forward hesitantly. "Why, you're in the right place. Welcome to Varnak Academy." "Awesome." Sara's smile broadened. "I'm so excited. The travel here was intense. Those hyperdrives really mess with your circadian rhythm, huh?" The group exchanged bewildered glances. She was excited. Miv floated a little closer. You are from Earth, correct?" "Yep." "Born in Minnesota. Cold winters, lots of snow. Ever tried sledding?" "It's a blast." Drelza looked like she might faint. "You play on ice?" Sara frowned, just a little. "Yeah, doesn't everyone?" They did not. "I suppose you'll be joining the physical module tomorrow," Crixer managed. "Oh, definitely. I love workouts. What's the setup like?" "Free weights. Obstacle courses." Miv's orb dimmed slightly. "We mostly do environmental calibration exercises." Sara tilted her head. "So, like, stretching?" Drelza cleared her throat delicately. "With all respect, Cadet Jensen, isn't Earth extremely dangerous?" Sara laughed. "Well, I guess it depends on what you mean. I mean, sure, we've got storms, predators, volcanoes, and sometimes gravity messes with you. But it builds character." The silence that followed was absolute. Crixer, for the first time in his academic life, could not find anything to say. Sara glanced around. "Did I say something weird?" "No," Thon said slowly. "Not weird. Just very human. As Sara wandered off to find her dorm, the group stared after her, each consumed by the same thought. Tomorrow was gym class, and the Deathworlder would be there. First contact with gym class. Crixer arrived early to the physical conditioning module, or as humans called it, gym class. His thorax was tight with anxiety. He wasn't alone. Several other students stood nervously near the entrance to Dome C, the Academy's zero-G multi-environment simulator. The transparent panels of the dome revealed the shifting interior, gravity pockets, rotating climbing structures, and a training track lined with glowing hurdles. Each exercise zone adapted to the physiology of the student, or at least it was supposed to. Crixer wasn't sure the dome had ever calibrated itself for a Deathworlder. "Do you think she'll try to dominate us?" Drelza murmured beside him, coiled in a hydration sling. Humans have competitive instincts. They're driven by something called winning. "She might ignore orders if her adrenaline activates," Miv added from within his orb. "I read that humans can override pain for the sake of achievement." "Achievement of what?" Tharn muttered from above, clinging to a support beam. "Survival on a lava-infested predator world?" Before anyone could speculate further, the door opened with a hiss. Sara Jensen strolled in, dressed in a gray sleeveless exercise top and shorts. Her boots clomped against the metallic floor, and a towel was slung over her shoulder. She was humming, actually humming, as if this were a social gathering, not a potential war zone. "Hey guys," she called brightly. "Ready to sweat?" Crixer blinked. "Ready to... what?" "Sweat," she repeated. "You know. Exercise. Cardio. Get the blood pumping." "We do not leak during physical effort," Miv said warily. "Oh, right. Not all of you have glands." Sara chuckled. "It's totally normal, I promise." Then came the instructor. Coach Ural, an Ursinoid from Krell Prime, was one of the few beings in the galaxy who could make Sara look small. Standing nearly 3 meters tall and built like a planetary defense turret, he surveyed the class with a grunt. "New cadet," he growled. "Human. You ever run a zero-G drill?" "Not exactly," Sara replied, grinning. "But I've done CrossFit, Krav Maga, and my dad made us run 5 Burmese chots before pancakes." Ural blinked slowly. "I don't know what any of that means, but you'll start with the agility track." The first test was a kinetic maze, a rotating series of platforms and magnetic pulses designed to test reflexes and balance. Most students approached it cautiously, tiptoeing between shifts in gravity and ducking low-force obstacles. The record was just over 3 minutes. Sara finished in 48 seconds. She somersaulted through a spin cycle, flipped off a wall, and landed on her feet grinning. "Is that good?" Crixer's jaw went slack. "She broke the timing crystal." Miv's orb flickered in alarm. "How is that possible?" Next was the strength orb, a set of shifting graviton weights that calibrated to a being's mass and bone structure. Cadets usually completed 3 reps. 4 was commendable. 5 was unheard of. Sara did 10. With one arm. Laughing. "I think this one's stuck on easy mode," she joked, shaking out her limbs. Ural scratched his fur-covered chin, checking the diagnostics. "Nope. Calibrated correctly. You're just absurd." Then came the endurance drill, a simulated desert sprint with shifting dunes and solar flare obstacles. Crixer barely made it halfway before collapsing in a heap, gasping through his breathing vents. "Sara." She ran 2 laps and asked if there was a cool-down option. The class stared in a mix of horror and disbelief. Even Ural was watching now, arms crossed. Crixer's mind reeled. She was faster, stronger, and seemingly immune to fatigue. But what unsettled him most wasn't her capability. It was that she enjoyed it. Most beings approached gym as a necessity, a medical requirement for long-term health. Sara treated it like a game. A joyful game. When the final whistle blew, she patted her teammates on the back, gently, thankfully, and wiped her brow. "That was great," she beamed. "I really needed a good burn." Tharn, still hanging upside down, spoke for them all. "She's smiling." "After that, what else can she do?" Ural stepped forward. Tomorrow, combat simulations. Team drills. No lethal force. That includes you, Deathworlder. Sara gave him a two-fingered salute. No problem, coach. I'll play nice. As she walked off, Crixer whispered to no one in particular. She's not like us. She's something else. Panic on the field. Combat Simulation Day arrived with the gravity of a supernova. Crixer had not slept well. His dreams had been full of images, Sara hurling plasma balls like meteorites, smiling as she outran explosions, casually carrying an unconscious teammate in one arm while bench-pressing the enemy with the other. Now he stood inside Dome C's zero-gravity battlefield, heart thudding against his chitinous ribs, staring at the team assignment holo. His antennae drooped. Team 4, Crixer. Drelza. Thon. Sara Jensen. Oh no, he muttered. She's on our team. Drelza whispered from her hydration sling, wide-eyed. We're going to die. We'll be used as projectiles. Thon muttered from a nearby climbing anchor, try not to agitate her. Maybe she'll only vaporize the enemy. Sara appeared behind them like a friendly predator. Hey, teammates, she chirped. I'm pumped. You guys ready to win? No one answered. Crixer simply nodded stiffly and followed her into the staging area. The combat drill was simple. 4 teams would compete to secure a control node in the center of the floating arena. The environment would change randomly: gravity, light, temperature. Drones monitored everything. Only stun-level settings were allowed on training weapons. In theory, it was safe. In theory. The whistle blew, and everything erupted into chaos. Low gravity. Pulsing red lights. Platforms spinning like gyroscopes. The arena roared to life. Most students moved cautiously, creeping, dodging, hunkering down. Sara. She leapt into the fray like she'd been launched from a cannon. Cover me, she shouted, diving behind a barricade. I'll flank left. Crixer tried to aim his low-yield plasma blaster, but he was too busy watching Sara. She sprinted across vertical walls like they were flat ground, dove into microgravity, and threw a stun grenade with perfect timing, knocking 2 enemy combatants out of the zone. A shimmering drone broadcast her every move onto the overhead screen, and students stopped mid-battle just to gape. She's dodging energy bolts. Tharn gasped, clutching his anchor for dear life. Crixer ducked as a drone fired a warning shot past his antenna. The simulation wasn't real, but the fear was. And Sara wasn't just performing, she was laughing. Not a maniacal villain laugh, but the joyful, relaxed laugh of someone playing a sport. She vaulted over a ledge, caught a falling team member from another squad mid-air, and gently tossed them back toward their safety zone. You okay? She asked, still mid-combat. They nodded, stunned. Then she turned, took a blaster hit to the shoulder, winced, and kept going. Oof. Nice shot. You're getting better, Glarnak. Glarnak, a scaled reptilian, peeked out from cover and whispered, She thanked me. Crixer finally found his legs and scrambled to the control node. He tapped in the override code as Sara held off 2 squads by herself, sliding across the floor like it was a Terran sports match. With a final dramatic flip, she landed beside the control node and flashed a smile. Team 4 secures the objective, the AI announced. The arena lights powered down. The gravity normalized. The stunned silence of the room was deafening. Coach Ural lumbered into view, arms folded. Let me get this straight, he said, voice low and amused. You neutralized 3 opponents, secured the node, rescued a downed student from another team, and broke the course movement record in a single run? Sara wiped sweat from her brow. Yeah. It was fun. Though that shifting gravity near the control zone was tricky. Tricky, Crixer echoed weakly, trying to steady his legs. His limbs trembled from just keeping up with her movements. Ural grunted, impressed. You're not just built different. You train for this kind of environment. Sara shrugged. Humans call it a Tuesday. The other teams gathered around slowly, eyes wide. Some looked afraid. Others, curious. Is it true Earth has apex predators in nearly every biome? One student asked. And you coexist with them, another added. Only if you don't jog at dawn, Sara replied cheerfully. That's when the cougars get hungry. Drelza slid up next to Crixer, still pale. She's not terrifying because she's violent. Crixer nodded slowly. She's terrifying because she enjoys the challenge. Sara looked over, still smiling. Hey, guys, good teamwork today. We made a great squad. Crixer managed a weak smile back. He was beginning to believe it. Understanding the Deathworlder. The campus was unusually quiet that evening. Most students had returned to their habitats early after the combat simulation. Conversations were hushed. Eye stalks and antennae twitched more than usual. Even the snack queue in the nourishment hub had been eerily silent. Sara Jensen had become the gravitational center of Varnak Academy, not by authority or title, but by presence. Crixer sat in the common lounge, staring at his untouched nutrient cube. Drelza floated in her hydration pod beside him, tentacles absent-mindedly curling and uncurling. Tharn hung upside down from the light fixture. Even Miv, usually full of static pops and flickers, hovered in contemplative stillness. No one spoke for a while. Finally, Drelza broke the silence. She smiled when she got shot. Tharn grunted. She smiled the entire time. Miv pulsed dimly. And she apologized to someone she defeated. I don't understand it. Not aggression. Not dominance. Just joy. Crixer sat back, mandibles twitching. I don't think she fights to win. I think she competes to connect. The others blinked at him. She celebrated the teamwork, he explained slowly. Not just her role. She cheered for us. She encouraged us. Even while outperforming everyone. Drelza tilted her head. But why? Wouldn't superiority be enough for her? Crixer sighed. Maybe that's not what humans value. He had seen it clearly in the way Sara had grabbed his arm when he stumbled mid-drill, the way she had shielded Drelza from an errant stun blast without hesitation, and how she had shouted, "We've got this," when they were pinned behind cover. She didn't lead by command. She led by pulling them into her confidence. Across the lounge, the subject of their conversation appeared. Sara walked in wearing a fluffy robe and holding what looked like a mug of steam. Her hair was damp, and she looked utterly relaxed. "Hey, everyone," she said, sliding into a seat. No one replied at first. They just watched her, not with fear now, but with uncertain curiosity. Sara blinked. Okay, weird vibe in here. Did I forget deodorant? Crixer cleared his throat. We were discussing you. Oh, yikes. Do I owe someone an apology? No. Drelza burst. It's just, you're not what we expected. Sara smiled into her mug. Let me guess. You heard the horror stories. Tharn nodded. Deathworlder. Apex species. Aggressive, durable, immune to toxins. Emotionally unstable, Miv added. Explosive under stress, Drelza mumbled. Sara laughed softly. We do get a bit dramatic, yeah. But it's not the whole story. Crixer leaned forward. Then what is the story? Sara paused for a moment, then set her mug down. You ever grow up knowing the planet you live on is always trying to kill you? She said, voice softer. You learn to adapt. Fast. But more than that, you learn to rely on each other. No one survives Earth alone. Every victory is shared. Every disaster, you pull someone with you or you don't make it. Silence fell again, but it was different now. Heavier. More reflective. I wasn't trying to scare anyone, she added. I'm here to learn. And yeah, gym's fun for me. But the best part of today wasn't winning. It was watching you all step up. That's what makes a good team. That's what keeps people alive where I come from. Drelza's frills rippled thoughtfully. You lead with strength, but without cruelty. Tharn nodded slowly. And your joy wasn't in dominance. It was in cooperation. Sara smiled, genuinely. That's the human way. Compete hard, fall harder, laugh about it, help each other up. Miv hovered a little closer. So, you wouldn't vaporize us if we dropped a weight on your foot? I'd probably just swear a bit and then limp dramatically, Sara said with a wink. Humans are weird. We break, then heal stronger. Crixer looked around the room. Fear was fading, replaced by something new. Respect, yes. But also, kinship. They had feared the Deathworlder. Now, they were beginning to understand her. Sara took a long sip from her mug and stretched. So, same teams for tomorrow's relay? I think we've got a shot. This time, when she smiled, they all smiled back. And just like that, the terrifying Earthborn warrior wasn't a monster anymore. She was one of them.